This is tutorial 1-7, changing selection features in the GIS tutorial 1 basic workbook. In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to change the color that selected features appear in, what symbols that they use if they are selected, as well as a few different things. We're continuing from tutorial 1-6, so I have to make sure that I use my save as shortcut to change this from tutorial 1-6 to 1-7. Now this doesn't seem that important in this chapter because we're not really changing all that much in each of these maps, but in later chapters this is going to become much more important, so it's good to form the habit early on. The first thing we're going to look at is how to change selection options for the whole map document. So we're going to go up to Selection in the menu bar, and then you're going down to Select Options. And in the Select Options we have different things. We can change how we select things. Currently, anything that we partially or completely envelop in a box will be selected. That means if I were to make a box around the northeast here and only part of it touched New York, New York would still be selected. Now if I checked the select features completely within the box or graphic, New York would not be included, or any other one that was not completely enclosed by the box. The third one is a little bit more interesting. It determines that a feature will only be selected if you draw the box completely within it. That means if I come over here to California and create a box completely around it and the surrounding states, that it would not be selected. But if I were to draw a box over this little city, the box is completely enclosed by the state of California, so California would be selected. So I'm going to make sure that I keep it the default, the partially or completely within the box or graphic. Next we have the selection tolerance. This is very important. This determines on how close you have to click the feature before it's selected. If you make it too small, it's going to be very difficult to select things by just clicking on it. Normally you'll have to create a box around it. Make it too big and you have the issue of selecting features that you don't intend to select. The thing they want us to focus on is changing the color of how things are selected. I personally don't like doing this. I have been using this program for a long time, as well as others that use this color as the default for selected features. By changing this, I might forget what is a selected feature and what is just regular symbology. If that happens, I can export a map or print a map that has features with the selected color on rather than their true display color. And that can cause issues. So to change this, you're going to want to open up the color ramp and you can choose. Now before we change it, I suggest that you go to More Colors and you familiarize yourself with the default, because you can't find it in that color ramp. So this color is created by a 0 red value, a 255 green value, and a 255 blue value. So if you ever want to get back to the default, those are the values you have to put in. So let's go in and change the color that they want us to this purple one. I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to select Texas, then hold down the Shift key and select the 4 states that surround it. So now that we have these selected, you're going to learn how to zoom into that area based on your selection. There are 2 methods that you can use. You can go up to Selection up by the main menu and go down to Zoom to Selected Features. Then you can create a bookmark if you wanted to. But I'm going to go back, and seeing that I know I've selected US states, I can also right click on US states, go to Selection, and then right at the top it's Zoom to Selected Features, and it does the same thing. Now if this is something that you do very often, and it's taken a while, I must have accidentally clicked when I didn't want to, so I'm going to go in and click. There we go. Now, if this is something that you do very often, zooming to selected features, you might want to add a shortcut to your toolbar, just like we did with the Save As. So I'm going to go up here to the toolbar options. I'm going to click on it until I get Customize. That's going to open up our Customize window. We can go to Commands. This is going to take a little while to populate. And once it does, we can scroll down to Selection. And up here, if you type in Z, you instantly get Zoom to selected features. Now I'm going to click that and drag it and place it right next to my Select tool, because I do use that a lot. So we're going to go back out. I have my 5 states selected. All I have to do now is click on that button and I zoom to it. This is a nice little shortcut because up here you have to click once and then twice. Over here you have to right click, go down to selection, and then move over. That takes time. This is a nice little quick shortcut. We're going to clear our selection, and remember we're going to be using the clear selection. We're going to be using the clear selection button. This one right here is the zoom to selected features. It's grayed out because nothing is selected. And then we have our original select features tool. Now we're going to learn how to change selections just based on a single layer. And I like this a lot more. But before we continue, I'm going to go back up to selection options. I'm going to turn off that. And I'm going to change this back to what it was by default because I like that color, not this one. So I'm going to change it to 0, 255, 255. Click OK and OK. We're going to open up the properties table for US cities, and there's 2 ways to do this. You can right click, go down to properties and click on it, or you can just double click it and it'll open for you. Now I've used selection in the past and it always opens up to a tab that you've worked on most recently. If this is the first time you've opened up a properties table, you'll likely be on the general tab. So make sure you're on selection. And right now it's just using whatever is chosen for selection options. Now we can change this to be a symbol or another color. So we're going to use with symbol, and then we're going to click on this, and we're going to make selected features a square that are that purple color. Then we're going to click OK, and then OK again to apply it. Then I'm going to go up here, I'm going to activate my select features tool, and if I select these 3 cities, you can see that the state is the default color for selection, while the cities are now a purple square. And the unselected cities are just regular red square or circles. So this is a good way to really tell features apart. And what would be really useful is if you had multiple point layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it. Okay, I went in really quickly to make this new one just the capitals, so you can see that capitals are now just these blue ones. So say you had 2 different layers of points and you went in here and selected them. They're all purple squares. By using the selection tool for individual layers, what that allows us to do is I can come in here and make that a purple triangle. So even while things are selected, you can still tell different layers apart from each other. We have our triangle here, so we know we have a capital selected, and then we just have regular city selected. And that would happen up here as well. So that's one nice thing about being able to change the selection option of individual layers and not all of them. We're going to clear our selection, and we're going to right click our counties. We're going to zoom to that layer. So zoomed into the Colorado counties, we're going to change how they are selected. So we're going to open up the properties table for that. If we were to go into colors, you can see that we can only change the color and we can't change the outline, which the book wants us to do. So we're going to have to do this as another symbol. We're going to change it to where there is a fill color because right now there is none. And we're going to choose that purple color and no color for the outline. Then we're going to click OK. A little info on property tables. If you click apply, it applies all changes, but does not close the properties tables. This can allow you to see if there's some issue, and then you can quickly change it within the properties window without having to reopen it. If you click OK, that's the same as clicking apply and OK. So all changes are applied when you click OK. Now I'm going to activate my selection tool and start clicking on counties. You can see that there's an outline still, but those are from the surrounding counties and not our county that we're selecting. They want us to repeat this with streets. It's just changing the color. This one we could probably just change color rather than symbol. So if we right click here, zoom to layer that we learned about in a previous tutorial, you can see we have an issue with zooming from far out. So clear selection, zoom really close, and in the next part we're going to actually see how we can change this. And I'm actually going to do that now while we're at this area because this is the best place to check it out. For the next section they want us to zoom out to the 48 states, but we're not going to do that. We're going to stay zoomed in to Colorado counties and streets because this is one of the reasons you would change what is selectable and what is not. In the table of contents, you're going to activate the list by selection button. So it's this one right here. It's the little selection symbol with the layer symbol. And as you can see, I'm going to turn that back on. When this is colored, it means it's selectable. When it's grayed out like this, it means you cannot select it. So I'm going to turn that back on. Now, when I try to select a street, we see that streets are selected. We have 3 of them. But the county's been selected, and so has the state, and they're all the same color, so they're kind of washing it out. Now we're going to clear our selection. If we check these boxes, we can determine what is selectable. Now I'm only interested in the streets right now. So I'm going to turn off Colorado states, or counties, and then I'm going to turn off US states. And I'm going to turn off both cities because they're not an issue, but why not? So now if I create a box, you can see that I've selected those cities, and this tells me how many. I've selected 25 segments of streets, and I can clear those if I want from here. So if I, for instance, let's turn counties back on. I selected, let's clear, and there we go. So I selected 64 streets and 1 county. Say I didn't want to select that county. Down here you can see if there's a small number, they'll actually list them. I can click the clear button just for that one feature, and it does not erase the selection for the streets. So that is also a very useful technique. I'm going to go up here and clear my selection. I'm going to turn everything back on, and we'll quickly do what the book wants us to do. They want us to zoom out to the 48 states. They want us to turn off everything but the cities. So these are all grayed out, and these are on still, and nothing is selected. So if I create a box and select it, you can see which ones are state capitals because I made them triangles, and which ones are just regular major cities because they're squares. We have our number. I can go in here and just clear out the ones that I'm not interested in. Say I just wanted the capitals, and they give me a list of names. Now let's see how long it will do that. Okay, it'll go 6, 7, 8, 9. So it seems after 8, they'll no longer display the names. So that's an interesting fact. Let's clear our selection. And we're going to go up to bookmarks and go to Florida. And we're going to use a graphic rather than the box we've been using. So we're going to go up to our select tool. If you bring down the drop down menu, you're going to see that we have the rectangle. We can draw a polygon, a lasso, a circle, or a line. Now I'm going to go through all of these, but we're going to start with the circle. So I can click inside Florida and drag, and as soon as I let go, it will select. So if I click in the center and keep dragging until I encompass all of them. Now, why is this useful? You can sometimes clear it. What you see here is called snapping. That's why you see US cities point show up. Sometimes you will want to click on them and drag. Maybe you want to know what other cities are in the same radius as this one. So I can click, let go, and we know that this one is as well. It's weird that that one didn't get selected. I guess because it was right on top of it. But if I go to this one, it'll get selected, but not this one. So that's an interesting feature. I did not know that happened. That could probably be fixed by changing the pixel tolerance, but I wouldn't recommend that. Let's clear our selection and look what other options we have. So we have Polygon. That will allow us to create a boundary of our own shape, and then when you double click, it'll select features in it. So this could be useful if you have a oddly shaped study area. So we're going to click clear, and we're going to look at the next one, which is Lasso. And this kind of works just like a pen. You just press the mouse button and hold it, and then you kind of just scribble, and it will select whatever is inside your scribble. We did line, or circle, so let's do line. Let's go to Colorado. Zoom to layer. Oops, I have to go to my selection. I'm going to turn off my selection for cities and turn it on just for streets. Now I want to click on this street here and this street here. And it will tell me what features that line passed through. So this could be an interesting way to see what passes through maybe a street between 2 points of interest like cities. Now there is one other way to do selection, and that's by creating an actual graphic. So we're going to come up here and I'm going to click on this gray space with the right click, and I'm going to go to draw, and that gives me this toolbar. Now I can come in here and create a graphic, and I can use this graphic to select features. So I can go to selection and then go select by graphics. As you can see, wherever that line touched is now selected. So I'm going to delete that graphic, clear my selection. I'm going to go up and I'm going to create one that has a fill. So I can go up here and I can go to selection, select by graphic, and it has selected everything that square has touched, not just the outline. That's because it had a fill. So this shows you how the fill color and no fill color can affect how a graphic will work. That's it for this video.